Hello and welcome. This is our 40th webinar. It's like a milestone for us, and it's a very interesting topic that we are taking up today. Again, on this is basically a viewer's choice, actually, and we had got quite a few, queries from clients, and where we were doing our SOC 2, where we were doing our GDPR, and always, why are we supposed to be doing it together? How is it going to help? All those things. Plus, the same issue was highlighted by many of our viewers also on YouTube channel on our webinars page, and so we thought let us dedicate a nice webinar to that. So here we are, and GDPR and SOC 2, how to integrate in one audit process, whether it should be SOC 2 and GDPR, I think it should have been the other way around, but all right. So SOC 2 and GDPR, how to integrate in one audit process. Well, just to give a brief on that, basically what's happening is that uh, of the five trust principles or trust services criterion in SOC 2, there is one which is privacy, which is very expansive. It's got 74 odd requirements, and just that one in addition to the common criterion, that is. And in that there is quite a few privacy requirements. So people are wondering whether it's a overlap, 100% overlap with GDPR, or can we just do the privacy requirements of GDPR, and does it mean that we have privacy requirement of SOC 2, and does it mean that we are good with GDPR? Or if we do GDPR, then does it mean that we have covered the requirements of SOC 2 privacy trust criterion, or how is it? So all these will be covered, and so there are overlaps, so and there are similarities and there are differences. So we'll be covering that with some good best practices based on our experience, and how you can make it as one, so that because many companies, many of our clients, we've done like 100 plus assignments on SOC 2 and of course GDPR 2, and many of them have gone for both. Sometimes it is GDPR, SOC 2, and even HIPAA. So again, because there's an overlap over there, also more with GDPR and less with HIPAA, but still that there is. So we'll be looking for today only on SOC 2 and GDPR. So with that, let's just start off. So this is what the webinar objectives are, and this is something that we have already shared in the invite that you might have got in a group or on Facebook, LinkedIn page, or even in the mails. So that is there. Okay, I'll not get into it again. And just as you go ahead, if you're facing any sort of technical difficulties, do drop a message. And I've got a tech team with me. We've got a very dedicated team, and they would immediately get into it. They are just on standby to take care of all these possibilities, because just yesterday in Bombay, there was a major in a power flux, and I'm so glad we weren't doing that yesterday, because of course I'm not in Bombay, but still many of our clients are, and so if there is any sort of issues, so do flag us, and we'll see what we can do to help you out in any way. Of course we can't restore your electricity, but if you're not able to hear me or see my screen, sometimes I forget to unmute the button and stuff, so you can do flag me on that. All right. And so topics covered again, this is what has been shared with you. I will skip this to save time. Okay, now one of the viewers, okay, interestingly, this webinar has been one of our most sought after, and we got one of the maximum registrations for this webinar. And one of the first questions that I just got from Pranav is that would this webinar be recorded and made live? Yes, it is being recorded, and they are there live on our YouTube channel, and you can see the link on the screen. And there are all the 40 plus webinars, and there are numerous other videos which is there, hacking videos. There is even, we have introduced a section called as Ask the Experts. So in that we even answer many of the so-called frequently asked questions that is there, and these are a list of the past webinars that is there. So for example, in today's webinar, I will not be getting into the details of what is SOC 2, how does it work, and what are the different trust criteria, and the audit requirements, the compliance requirements, all those things. So you do need to look up these others. So same thing for GDPR, there are dozens of webinars online, in our YouTube page. So do go online and do subscribe, please. It really helps us to know that okay, people are liking what we do. Do drop in a comment or like the videos and stuff. So again, it's all free. I'm not charging you anything for it. So these are our past webinars, and of course a few, and just like 6 months back something, we had somebody from the PCI Council also speaking in a webinar, Mr. Nitin Bhatnagar, a very close friend, and he's an excellent gem of a guy, a personal friend, and he's also the associate director for India. He also was there, and we cover a lot of local international regulations. So do look it up. Okay, as we go along, and that's the request, that is, do type in your queries in the queries box, and I'll answer as much as possible. Much as possible. And so if there is something that you are unable to understand, do drop in a message to that also, and I will definitely answer you on that. And feel free to share your thoughts with regards to your interesting topic that you might want to be answered, and I will take that up also. So do that, and of course I'm there with you on this. Okay, and that is what I truly believe in as a philosophy. That is, it's not the answer that enlightens, but it's always a question. So one of the things that we take pride in is that most of our webinars, rather all of them, have tons of questions, and that's why if you look at my list of people who are attending even today, they are there basically because the Q&A session is the most is the highlight of the show. Anyway, so going ahead, this is about me. I'm Narendra Sahu, my director. I'm director for Vista InfoSec. I'm myself. PCI QP, QSA, I've done my CISSP, CISA, CRISC, been in the industry for more than 20, 25, like 27 years now. Uh, of course, my company is the Vista InfoSec, and we are into many of those key services also. This is a brief of our company. We began in 2004, and we are now there in US. We are there incorporated in Singapore last year, and now this year we are even there in New York, and we incorporated in the US in 2014. Um, and these are a few of the services. Don't worry, I will not take up a lot of your time speaking about my company. Okay, these are a few of our services. You got a compliance and governance, wherein we look into all these services like SOC 2, SOC 1, GDPR, HIPAA, PCI DSS. You got a separate dedicated team for all the tech assessments, virtualization risk and stuff. We've got a separate tech team for all the infrastructure design, data center design, and we even do assessments of WAF, SIM, IPS, and stuff. So I'll jump directly ahead, and these are some of the certification and attestation services that we provide. PCI, PADSS, PCI PEN, and we are there with SOC 1, SOC 2. And for SOC 2, we are doing this through our company in the US, our own Vista InfoSec LLC in the US. Our auditor is also based in the US. So all our clients gets the maximum, marketability and branding. So with that, we this is our partial client listing that has worked with us, and there are much more actually. Okay, and at the end of this webinar, there is a survey participation request. We really request you to fill in that request and let us know what you think about it. And if you have any queries, if you have any suggestions, feedback, it could be critical, it could be appreciating. It's all welcome. So a brief introduction on SOC 2, and again, I'll not be getting into the details, all of it. And as I requested earlier, if you are really looking forward to understanding what is SOC 2 all about, this is something on the advanced line. Of course, you are welcome. You can be there and you can see um, what is going on. And what can happen is that you can go to our YouTube page, and I'm just posting our YouTube link on into the chat box. And what you can do is that you can go there and you can see there's a playlist just for SOC 2, and you'll get a lot of information on SOC 2. There is so that will really help you. That will really help you. Okay, same thing as I said earlier, even for GDPR. So there I have typed the um, YouTube link in the chat box for you. Okay, going ahead. So in short, SOC 2 is it's an basically it's an audit process, which ensures that all the service organizations can securely manage data, protect the interest of your organization, and privacy of the clients. So it is a minimal requirement actually, and of course, there are many other requirements. It could be law of the land, it could be GDPR, HIPAA, all those things that can be required. But SOC 2 is coming up as one of the most sought out after attestations or audits in the world at this time, basically for service providers, just to show that they are protecting their client interest properly, just to show that whatever they're committing in their documentation, they're actually delivering on it and not just making up stories. So those things really is extremely important. um, and there are those five trust five trust principles: security, availability, there is process integrity, there is confidentiality, and there is privacy. Now there is, of course, there is a SOC 2 audit report which proves that, okay, which rather provides the assurance that your organization is adhering to the trust services criterion that you have selected or as per the services that you're offering. And now for further information, again, there are so many questions coming in. There is Sanya who simply asked, what is the difference between SOC 1 and SOC 2? Well, there is a webinar on that. If you go to our website, Sanya, it is vistainfosec.com. There's a very nice article written on what is SOC 1, because SOC 1 is more on the basis of ICFR requirements, internal controls of financial reporting. It doesn't really have the concept of trust services criterion, and the trust principle has to be evolved by the auditor or by the organization in itself. SOC 2 is basically more on IT management and information security management. So these are basically two separate standards. There are overlaps based on what services that you're offering, but if there is an X organization and whose financials can get impacted because of your services, then they might ask you for a SOC 1. Otherwise, SOC 2 is the most sought after. After that, there is SOC 1. And okay. Yes, Sani, I will share the link of that article. You can simply go to our website. I'm just putting it down, vistainfosec.com. Um, and once you go there, you can see that you can go into the blog section, and in the blog section there are uh, there is this particular article on SOC 1. You can definitely go there, and then there is somebody else who's asked, do product vendors who offer on-premise solution need SOC 2 audit or attestation? That's a very good question, Pratik. uh, I hope really I don't get sidetracked, but let me still answer you. um, Product vendors typically wouldn't be required or asked to do SOC 2, but we still have a couple of clients who are providing. We just signed up for a major company in Singapore, and they are into this employee monitoring software. So it's basically like an on-prem system, but their clients have asked them for it. So it depends on the client, but primarily speaking, as per its definitions, it's basically for service-based organizations, not product-based. But so if you're ever looking at providing your product as a SaaS-based solution also, so in that case, SOC 2 would actually be mandatory if you really want to do any work with any company in the US or working with a company in the US. So I hope that answers. Um, so let me go ahead. So these are the five trust principles in short. Uh, there is privacy. Again, that's what the focus is today, which is for personal information that is being collected, used, retained, disclosed, and disposed to meet the entity's objectives. And that is where the overlap is there with GDPR. The rest four, there's not really much of an overlap. Availability is for the availability of the information systems to meet the entity's objectives. Entity would be the clients. Okay. So the service organizations clients. um, there is the next is processing integrity. So system processing is complete, valid, accurate, timely, and authorized as per the commitments made. Confidentiality. Now there is a huge difference between confidentiality and privacy. Many people, believe me, guys, believe me on this. That is. Uh, with regards to people as even like stalwarts in the industry, they frequently uh, you know misunderstand that the differences between confidentiality and privacy. There is a difference. Like sometime back, there is the UIDAI, the head who's just posted his PAN number online and said, okay, do whatever you want with it. You cannot do anything with the PAN number. Well, that's not the point. Ensuring that people cannot see or get access to particular data is confidentiality, but privacy is basically my personal information, and I get to decide what gets done with it or not. We'll come to that again. Security is the overall security criterion, is also called as a CC, comes under CC or common criterion, which is applicable to all. So in SOC 2, just for those who don't have much of an information, in SOC 2, the basic minimum is security, which contains a maximum number of requirements, almost 300 odd requirements. And rest all is the add-ons or optionals based on the client requirements, confidential, integrity, availability, and privacy. After security, the maximum number of requirements are in privacy. Almost 70, 75 requirements are there. So brief introduction on GDPR. Again, it's just I'm doing 1 or 2 slides on this. If you really want to know more on GDPR, go to our YouTube link, click on subscribe most importantly, and go to the playlist on GDPR. So it was basically, GDPR was basically General Data Protection Regulation. It's a regulatory law in the EU, that's European Union, on data protection and privacy. So basically, if you're touching any sort of data of the European Union citizen, you need to comply on GDPR. So it lays out the responsibilities on organization, and the GDPR impact, the breach is and the penalties are phenomenal, running into millions and millions of dollars. So it is 20 million minimum, or 4% of the uh, 4% of the annual global turnover. So even if you are a Google, it is going to make an impact, because for somebody like a Google, 20 million pounds would be nothing. So that's where they balance it out, so that in case you're a bigger company, it would still make a massive impact on you and your workings. So that was for GDPR. And some more, this is the difference. As I said earlier, people do not understand the difference between data privacy or data security or data confidentiality. So this is like a summation of that. So data privacy, this is very important, guys. Please stay with me on this, okay? um, it is primarily about the appropriate handling, processing, storing, and using of personal information, okay? Not company information. So my company landline number, my company's name, registration details, all those things is not coming under data privacy. It is me as an individual. So my passport number, my passport details, what I eat, what I drink, where I sleep, what I do, and all those things, that is all personal information. Email address, phone numbers, address, spouse name, number of kids, medical information, everything about me is personal information. So data privacy is about the appropriate handling, processing, storing, and using personal information. And data security, or if I might say confidentiality, is more about protecting sensitive information against unauthorized access. It is not just, see, the underlying factor is not just restricted to just privacy related data, but any data. Okay, so it is about any data and not just privacy related data. And now data privacy is about protecting personal data from misuse, and data security, which includes personal data, is about protecting any data, including personal data, from unauthorized third-party access or malicious attacks or exploit of data. Right. So as I'd given the examples on data privacy earlier, and so like data security is like a superset, and data privacy is like the subset of it. So data security, in addition to privacy related data, would also contain information such as, company balance sheets, uh, product IPRs, it could be calculations, it could be source code, it could be account information, client information. All those things would come under data security also, which might not come under data privacy. So data privacy is all about protecting the rights of individuals with respect to their personal information. And here it is more about data security is more about ensuring first thing is data privacy, then confidentiality, availability, and integrity. So data security is more about the CIA of data, confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information, and then plus of course the privacy. So data privacy ensures access to accurate and reliable personal data by authorized personnel explicitly with the individual's consent. Consent is the most important part in data privacy. Here, data security is more about ensuring that the data is accurate, reliable, and only the authorized people can get access to it. Now, data privacy, of course, cannot be achieved without data security. But data security might have data which doesn't include data privacy. So those things are there. So unless specified explicitly, data security might or might not contain privacy related stipulations also. Okay, but data data privacy on the other hand would include aspects of data security, but not necessarily the other way around. So I really hope that made sense to you. Now, here it is. Now, SOC 2 privacy criteria and GDPR compliance. Now, as I said earlier, SOC 2 is basically one of the most sought after standards in the world. Now, similarly, GDPR is a global benchmark. So, anywhere and everywhere, the global benchmark for data security is GDPR. Now, okay, there is another, okay, I'll come to that question also. But SOC 2 privacy criterion and GDPR have many similarities. There is a good amount of similarity. So if you're doing GDPR, you have covered a lot of ground with regards to the privacy trust criterion of SOC 2. Now, the second thing is that while SOC 2 and GDPR have their own specific requirements, they also have a common set of best practices with regards to privacy of data. So again, that is where we are going to investigate today. Now, if you're using both SOC 2 and GDPR, it will really make a very good impact on an organization. And if you're sitting in India, where the data privacy bill has just been tabled in the parliament, and where the parliament might take a decision on passing it or making any amendments to it, if you're already doing a GDPR, there's a very high possibility that you're already complying to almost all the requirements of PDPB, because as time has gone by, GDPR has established itself as a global benchmark on data security, on data privacy, sorry. And how it works with regards to GDPR, SOC 2 and GDPR mapping, this is how it is. So you can see that there is the privacy governance is there. It is covered under GDPR. There is maintain personal data privacy, personal data inventory, maintain data privacy. All these things are required under uh, SOC 2 also, but at different levels. We'll get into this in detail. Now, if you look at it in the final rundown, mostly all, and there's a legend on the right hand side where there is XXX. This is the summation actually. So maintain privacy governance. Most of the controls are missing in SOC 2, but is there in GDPR. And similarly, similar control exists, but without the GDPR privacy elements. We'll get into this in detail. And only in two areas where SOC 2 and GDPR come under a massive overlap. That is, almost all the covers are covered, which is information security risk and maintaining a privacy policy. Otherwise, there are overlaps and there are totally missing parts like governance. So doing GDPR would give you a leverage with SOC 2, but not necessarily. We'll get into it in more detail. Okay, now there is a good question now. Somebody has asked with regards to what about CCPA. Uh, CCPA, we have a service level on that. If you visit our website, there is a CCPA service line that we are offering to our clients in California. Uh, CCPA is basically California Consumer Privacy Act, and we have got quite a few articles also on that. You can go through it. So CCPA and SOC 2, again, there are similarities are there, but it doesn't cover it in totality. Understand, GDPR is massive. It even speaks about how applications are made, how they are maintained, how soon the company is supposed to respond if a data request or a right to forget comes from the end user. All those things are there, which is also missing in GDPR, also missing to some level in CCPA. Maybe we might do an article or a webinar, Mr. Mehta, on this. And again, there is a good question. If personal information is being shared with a sub-service organization for whom we do not able to get their SOC 2 for privacy TSC, then as a part of inclusive method, do we cover GDPR for SSO even? See, if you're doing, if a X company, uh, now let's assume I am a service provider, okay, and my SOC 2 doesn't cover privacy. We have had a few clients like this, okay, and I'm telling you what really happened with their clients after that. So let's assume I'm a service provider and I've got my clients sitting in the US and I'm providing some services to them, but my SOC 2 report doesn't contain um, the privacy trust services criterion. So the question that is asked is, can I just do GDPR and satisfy the requirements? Well, see, the question is the problem is that it all depends on my clients if they will be willing to accept it. And sometimes, or rather more often than not, they would say no. This has to be done as per AICPA requirements, and you better get the privacy trust principle also in place. And the other major this we had faced in an audit actually, where we had gone and the client had was really taking client was really taking end user privacy information but had not included privacy in the SOC 2 requirements. It was basically a recertification audit that we were doing for somebody, and that X company was had already got attested last year, that is the previous year, by some other auditor, and this year they heard about us and they came to us. So that is where even our auditor asked them that you are providing a service to your organization in which you are capturing the end user data also. So is there a specific reason why you decided not to do it, the privacy requirements? So they simply said, okay, the previous auditor never told them to get it done that way, and they simply thought that not doing it would be easier to get certified. Well, that is not the way things move, my friend. If you are coming under it, you better be doing it. It is not really a choice after that. If your client is required in is having end user client information but has decided not to do the privacy trust services criterion, then you should be asking them as to why they are not done it in the first place. GDPR is not the solution because AICPA has already set up its norms, and I don't remember any sort of write-up from AICPA or advisory from AICPA. In case you're wondering, AICPA is the one who formed the SOC 2 standard, American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, a beautifully written standard, and they would simply ask. I have not seen any advisory from them that if a client has not done the privacy trust services criterion, then GDPR is still acceptable. I haven't seen anything on that. Well, does it mean that you are not, adhering to some specific requirements of SOC 2? I wouldn't say that you are not adhering to some requirements, because see, at the end of the day, almost all of the requirements are being met by GDPR, but this is a standard which has been set up by AICPA SOC 2. So they are expecting you to adhere to it. So if you had already done GDPR with some minimal effort, you would also adhere to the trust services criterion of privacy. So why are you not doing it? It would it would not mean like a huge cost escalation in the audit or something. But if you're already done it, then why are you not doing it? That becomes a question that the auditor can very well ask. All right. Uh, So going ahead, so the similarities now that, with regards to transparency in data collection and processing. See, here there is a good overlap in that SOC 2 privacy requirement, privacy criteria requires service organizations to inform the concerned person about the personal information being collected. And same thing under GDPR also, they require the organizations to be transparent and inform the concerned person. That is what you are collecting and for why the data is being collected. So, with regards to consent, also the consent requirements in SOC 2, the privacy criterion requires you to take consent from the concerned person, collection, use, retention, disclosure, disposal, everything. The same thing under GDPR also, there is an overlap, huge overlap is there. Now, under limited collection and use of data, here also there is, as per the SOC 2 privacy criterion, the personal information to be collected should be limited only to the extent it is required to meet the organizational objectives. And the same statement is being done by GDPR also. That is, your data collection should be limited only to the objective of the organization and the original purpose, which was communicated to the user while taking the data. You should not be taking any more data than is actually required for the purpose of the collection as communicated to the user. So that is limited collection. And similarly for collection of data from third party, that is if I outsource it to somebody else to collect the data, as is being done by many FMCG organizations. So if I am asking somebody to collect my data, then it is my responsibility to ensure that it's reliable, it's accurate, and where the data was collected in a lawful manner. It is my responsibility as an organization if I'm outsourcing into somebody. Same way in GDPR also, if they are organizations are performed to are required to perform due diligence in case the data is being collected by third parties, and that's where the beauty is, my friends. See, what happens is that you cannot just get away by saying that I outsource it to somebody. So you can't just get away that, and that's what companies are doing. They are simply saying, I don't know, I just give it to XYZ company, and they are doing it. I don't know what the hell they were doing. We had put it in the SLA, and we had told them to do it in the right way, and I don't know, they did it in the wrong way. You can't walk away like that. You simply can't do that. It's basically your responsibility. Uh, okay, so going ahead, what about the validation of the quality of the data collected? So SOC 2 requires privacy criteria again requires an organization to validate the quality of the data collected and also allow the concerned person to update it. And that's where you see all this, new settings that had come up after the advent of GDPR on Instagram, on Facebook and Gmail and all those things where they allow you to make all the changes. It's required as per the European Union law. So again, in GDPR, the same thing that the user has the rights to correct inaccurate personal data as collected by our organization. So they should have the rights to view it and and make changes as required. So data should not be stored for more than the required time. Again, so when you are collecting the data, you are required to tell the user why you are collecting it, for what purpose you are collecting it, and for how long will you be retaining it, and what will you be doing with it. Again, so that's where the data should not be stored for more than the required time. So again, GDPR also asks the same thing from you. Encryption of data. SOC 2 requires you to encrypt the data. It is a mandate. So there also in GDPR also, though not said so explicitly, it is required that you have to secure the personal data and maintain its privacy, integrity, and confidentiality. Then the data breach notifications. Unfortunately, God forbid, if you are in deep shit and there is a breach, then what happens? So data breach notifications, we have an article even on this on our blog site. I've already put my website. vistainfosec.com. You can go there, you can go in the blog section, and there are a good number of articles even on the breach notification requirements. So SOC 2 also asks for the same thing. GDPR also asks the organizations to notify the authorities and the people in a fixed amount of time. If not, there are penalties. Okay. Loss of trust, reputation, and penalties. Well, in SOC 2, there are, non-compliance issues are there, but it is more subjective based because, there is no hard and fast penalties, that you get to see whether in PCI DSS and GDPR, but there is you get the loss of trust, you lose a reputation in industry, which will be much more severe than the penalty that might have got imposed on you. But in GDPR, in addition to the loss of trust and reputation, you will end up paying a huge amount of money, so as penalties. Plus, there could be class action suits filed against you. So compliance mandate. If you're coming under it, that is, SOC 2 compliance mandates organization to abide to the privacy criterion for being SOC 2. So you can't simply say that I am GDPR, so SOC 2 privacy is not really required for me. You can't, because SOC 2 doesn't give you that flexibility. You might still try your luck by asking your client if they are okay with it. Most probably they would be not, and I wouldn't suggest you to do that, because I'm sure that you might not have just one client. One client may say yes, and if some new client says no, you'll be in trouble. So why not just get it done? If you already have your GDPR in place, then why are you killing yourself by not doing the privacy trust criterion in SOC 2? So that would be my 2 cents. There are the differences now. So okay. Somebody has said, okay, he needs the link for today's webinar. Thank you for the vote, my friend, and you will have it since you have already signed up and you already subscribed. You will be getting the links to the articles and the webinars much in advance than it being published on YouTube. So on YouTube, we give it a delay of 2-3 weeks before it gets published. But for our attendees like you who have attended, you will be getting it almost immediately. Okay, so going ahead. Okay, somebody asked whether the organization should go for SOC 2 plus 27001 plus 27701, which is the ISO standard for um, privacy. So whether you can do that, well, that's a very long response to that, my friend. Maybe I can answer you offline, and if it's really interesting, maybe we'll do a webinar on that, like how we did today for SOC 2 and GDPR. So thank you again for that, and I will answer you. And okay, maybe we can do a webinar on ISO 27, ISO standard for privacy, which is 27701, and maybe GDPR, how do they match up? So in case you're interested for a webinar like that, just drop in a note and we will take that into consideration also. Like how we are doing today, SOC 2 privacy and GDPR. If you want a webinar on ISO 27701 and GDPR, do drop in a note or a comment, and even maybe end of this in the survey, and we will take that into consideration. Okay, so getting back, so the focus areas in SOC 2 attestation, the privacy criterion is just one of the 5, but in GDPR it is a main focus point. That is where the coverage in GDPR is much more with regards to SOC 2. So the standard requirement SOC 2 attestation mainly focuses on standing the overall security controls and the IT management in an organization, while GDPR only focuses on the privacy of personal data or information. And SOC 2 is not legally enforceable. And so many people think it's a law. It's not. It is a mandate by AICPA, and that is where, since it's so brilliantly written, many of the organizations that are outsourcing their services to somebody else ask for SOC 2 attestation. But GDPR is legally enforceable and is legally applicable, and is applicable to any organizations in the world handling, storing, or processing personal data of EU European citizens. And SOC 2 is internationally well-known security standard applicable to organizations in the US. And to that, I would add one more standard, one more point. So if there is X company in the US and you are sitting in India, and you are taking work, or you are sitting in Philippines, or sitting in Vietnam, or sitting in Indonesia or China or wherever, and or in the Middle East, and you are working with that company in the US, you are also we will be asked by your partners in the US to get SOC 2 certified or attested, sorry. So that's how it is. But GDPR is internationally recognized, applicable to organizations around the world dealing with data of EU, European Union citizens. Okay, Stan has asked a very good question. What about the UK? Well, see, now with UK, UK with the Brexit that is happening, they have not really, they signed the GDPR law into a law much before the Brexit happened. So, and they have not walked away from it. So even the UK GDPR is still applicable. Actually speaking, UK is extremely active with regards to GDPR. So I hope that answers Stan. Okay, and okay, somebody asked whether CPRs can be claimed for this webinar. Yes, you can. This is admissible under for CPRs for whichever certificate, CISA, CSSP, CSIM, and stuff. Okay, there is a SOC 2 requirement. That's where the differences are. There is no concept of right to be forgotten under SOC 2, but GDPR provides that right to revoke his consent. So he may have given it once, but might have revoked it later on. So GDPR gives the right to forget. Non-compliance consequences. It's not really hard-coded defined, but GDPR, yes. Minimum 20 million euros, my friend, or 4% of global turnover, annual global turnover, whichever is greater. SOC 2 doesn't speak about or of appointment of a data protection officer. Well, that is a mandate for large organizations under GDPR. So these are a few of the differences and similarities with regards to SOC 2 and GDPR. So if you're looking at minimizing the GDPR compliance requirements, you have to remember that, okay, SOC 2 is covers only one element and covers good area, but not the entire part of GDPR. So if you're done GDPR, you're good with SOC 2 privacy trust criterion. But if you're done SOC 2 trust privacy criterion, and if you're looking at GDPR, then you got some way to go. And that's what it said. So it does minimize efforts to achieving GDPR. So if you're already, as I said earlier, many times, if you're already done GDPR properly, SOC 2 trust privacy criterion is just like a walk in the park, but not the other way around. So in case you have just done your SOC 2 trust privacy criterion, when you're looking at GDPR, it'll still take you maybe 2 to 3 months, depending on your scope. Depending on your scope. Hello. Yes, I think I lost connectivity for a few seconds over there. So in today's data-driven world, data is the new oil. So privacy data is the new oil, as you can see what's happening with Facebook and stuff. Uh, yes. Yeah, somebody said very well that yes, ICO, that's the Information Commissioner's Office, takes is the governing authority. Yes, so but there is no such governing authority except the AICPA in SOC 2 and GDPR. There is, and of course, I hope you can hear me now, guys. Please drop in a message in case I hope you can rather. Okay. Right to forgotten is not absolute under GDPR. Somebody has just commented, yes, it's not absolute, depends on what the data and to who it is. So I cannot say to the courts, to the honorable court, or to my telecom provider, or to my bank, that I have the right to forget. So please erase all my card data, and erase all my payment records, and erase all my payment history, and erase all my call data records. You can't do that. So it is absolutely not absolute, but you do have the right given the circumstances. So again, if you want to get into more details, please go to our YouTube channel. I've already pasted the link, and view up our playlist on GDPR. And over the years, these regulations and compliance standards are likely to become much, much more stringent and complex, as we are getting to hear much more, issues coming up, much more findings, much more hacks happening in the industry. It is very well possible that we get to hear more on these lines. Okay. So the key takeaway over here is that this is what you need to walk away with, is that SOC 2 privacy criterion and GDPR have much in common, rather quite a bit in common. SOC 2 trust privacy criterion is a good starting point to embark on a journey for full GDPR compliance. And achieving GDPR compliance will be valuable to the organization and SOC 2 to achieve, to showcase, I would say, to any organization who's doing business as a service organization, to do both. That's what we tell to our organizations, to our clients, especially to the SaaS service providers. We have quite a few data centers getting certified by us. Some of the largest in Asia are getting certified by us. We've got SOC 2 also, many SMEs and all who are there on SaaS platforms are getting certified or attested by us on SOC 2. So I would always suggest that do both together, because in case you're looking at working with clients in the EU, you would need GDPR. They would not be satisfied by you saying that we are doing, we have done the trust privacy criterion in SOC 2, so that's enough. It's not enough. So combining the both standards will give you a strong foundation for data security and privacy. Now, two complying together will also help you with something like a HIPAA, do something like a CCPA, as some had asked, and also 27701, which is the ISO standard for data privacy. Um, mm, mm, mm. So thank you so much for being there. There are quite a few more queries, and I would respond to you for sharing your time. And as I said, gentle reminder, please to fill up the survey forms. Very, very important to us. And there's some more information for you. This is our YouTube page, and this is what I would like you to see. There is something called as Ask the Experts at the top. And what we do is that we put up like 5-minute videos. 5-minute videos covering one question. So drop in your questions that you are facing, and we will respond back to you. And even over here, with regards to SOC 2, with regards to PCI DSS, with regards to GDPR, with regards to HIPAA, there are so many playlists out there. Do go through it. Everything is free, and we will respond back to you on this. And that's our LinkedIn official Facebook page. We keep posting a lot of articles and content. That's our official LinkedIn page. Do follow the page and get the latest updates on with regards to the articles that is happening, with regards to new developments that is happening in the standards. We do put it across for you. And that's our contact information. Do drop us a line if you have any further queries. There are quite a few more, there is quite a few more queries that I am yet to answer, and I will answer you by mail. I'm out of time as of now, so I have to call it a day. That's the information. Do visit our website and drop us a line. I take care of your family, and in this COVID environment, I hope you are keeping safe. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye.